The 1908 New Zealand general election was held from the 17th of November to the 2nd of December 1908 to elect 80 MPs to the 17th session of the New Zealand Parliament. Following his crushing victory in 1905 when he vanquished his opponents to political oblivion, Prime Minister Dick Seddon began planning out his retirement. Seddon, who was 47 when he became Prime Minister in 1893, was approaching 61 and planned to step down before the next general election. However, he didn't intend to slow down. Forever loyal to voters, he aimed to pass his nationalist agenda before leaving office. Seddon and his Liberals got several industrial and farming bills passed that would help make New Zealand a self-reliant country. He pumped more money into the country's military, building up the army from a largely voluntary militia into a modern fighting force. Seddon also began beefing up New Zealand's presence in the Pacific to counteract German influence in that region. Seddon was frustrated by Great Britain's lack of concern for German expansion in the Pacific after the German Empire acquired Samoa, New Guinea, and the Solomon Islands in 1900. In June 1906, Seddon and his wife Louisa visited Australia. It was returning home to New Zealand on the ship Osprey Grange. Seddon tragically suffered a massive heart attack and died suddenly, only a few days before his 61st birthday. News of his death provoked an outpouring of grief, which followed a massive public funeral procession, where thousands of New Zealanders turned out to pay their respects to King Dick. Seddon was buried in Wellington beneath a massive monument erected by the public for their beloved leader. Seddon's oldest son, Tom Seddon, succeeded his father as MP for the seat of Westland in the by-election that followed his father's death. At 22 years old, Seddon became the second youngest MP ever elected in New Zealand. Replacing Dick Seddon as Liberal Party leader and Prime Minister was Sir Joseph Ward, MP for the seat of Awarua, a seat that covered the rural outskirts of the South Island town of Invercargill. First elected in 1887, Ward had been the Minister of Railways, Postmaster General and Treasurer. Whereas Seddon was much more socially right-wing, Ward was more liberal and more in line with the Liberal Party's founding principles and the Liberal premiers of Robert Stout and John Ballance. Despite having unanimous support in his party, it would be some time before Ward would become Prime Minister. As Treasurer, he had duties in London which he had to attend immediately after Seddon's funeral. As a result, Sir William Hall Jones became the 16th Prime Minister of New Zealand until August 1906, until Ward was elected leader of the Liberal caucus. One of Ward's biggest achievements was getting Great Britain to grant New Zealand Dominion status. Ward read the proclamation of Dominion status from the steps of Parliament on 26 September 1907, marking an important symbolic shift in New Zealand's perceptions of nationhood. This would, he hoped, remind the world that New Zealand was an important player in its own right. The shift from colony to dominion was a change of name only. It had no practical effect. New Zealand was no more independent from Britain than it had been before. Ward faced many problems as Prime Minister. He was not seen as being of the same calibre as Seddon. The diverse interests of the Liberal Party had been held together only by Seddon's strength of personality and his powers of persuasion. Ward was not seen as having the same qualities. Frequent internal disputes led to indecision and frequent policy changes, with the result being the paralysis of government. Ward's policies tended to be aimed at left-leaning urban voters, which alienated many of the Liberals' more conservative rural voters, particularly in the North Island. This dissatisfaction was exploited by William Massey and the Conservatives, who began to shift their focus from wealthy landowners to less wealthy farmers. Parliament was dissolved on October 10th by the Governor, Lord Plunkett. There would be one third party of note contesting this election, and no, it wasn't the New Liberals, who dissolved shortly after Seddon's death. The independent political Labour League, led by Dave McLaren, was a socialist party contesting only a few seats. And the winner was Joe Ward and the Liberals, who won 50 seats and 58.7% of the vote. Despite lacking the charisma and party discipline of his predecessor, Ward pulled off an impressive victory. In second place were the Conservatives, who won 26 seats, a gain of 10 since the last election, and 27.8% of the vote. This result gave Massey confidence that his party wasn't going to fade into obscurity. In third place was the Independent Labour League, which won 1 seat and 3.1% of the vote. When Parliament resumed its sitting, it would have to sit in a new makeshift chamber, as in December 1907, the Parliament caught fire, destroying most of the old wooden structure. Only the newly built front entrance and library were intact. And fun fact, they are still used today. Both upper and lower house chambers, though, were destroyed, and as a result the Parliament had to move next door to the old Government House building until a new permanent building could be erected. Thanks for watching, and come back next time for the election of 1911.